Hey guys, you ready for my fun Week 14 intro? You ready for some jokes, some laughs? That
Let's
sucks
hear it.
because it's playoff times. Okay, we don't have time to fuck around. We don't have time for your bullshit. It's now or never.
Yeah.
1 week. Oh, you're dead. 1 week. Make the moves. Make the plays. Put in the players. I don't know what this accent turned into. I guess.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
So
Welcome into Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. This is your host, Noah Obsfeld, and as always with me is Kieran. I'm going to get the directions at one point. Kieran Day, Michael Smith, Jared Williams. It's Week 14, baby. You know what that means? It's playoff time. This is what we do it for.
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, kind of coast through the year. This fantasy football thing is fun. Oh, looks like I got my playoff spot locked. Let me grab a defense or two. Okay, rewire the framework, boys and girls, because if you don't perform here, that's it. You're cut. Career's over. Go home to mom and dad. Sorry, you didn't put in the work. Okay. I'm obviously hyped for this week. Missing my first playoff in 3 years.
Ooh.
So
Only one?
it happens. Yeah, it happens. But what do we do is we push through. How are you guys doing?
Well, we just finished watching Thursday Night Football. Decent night for some. I mean, we told y'all to pick up Rams D a few weeks ago.
I think we
I
had
hope
like
y'all did.
3 or 4 week stretch where that was
At least. I mean, at this point, you just start them against whoever. Doesn't
Right.
even matter. Hope you picked them up. Obviously got you that tud. A lot of sacks. I know all of us here have Rams D in at least one league. I don't know about you, Kieran, actually.
I got him.
Yes.
I listen to the
We
advice
all do.
Yeah, we all got them.
Quick idea. Change the name of the podcast. Rams Defense Special Teams Fantasy Football.
That's been my
Interesting.
fantasy team
It'd
name.
be better. It'd be
Yeah,
better.
it's been Jared's name, and it's worked for him ever since.
See, okay,
I don't
I
want to talk
had
about
that
it.
team name 2 years ago, and I had them the whole year, that year where they just kept scoring touchdowns.
Yeah,
And then I re-brought it back after week
yeah.
one.
You gotta
after
you
I
gotta
lost.
pay homage to the guys who were there for you in the past. But guys, thanks for tuning in to Fantasy Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. You can follow us on Twitter at Dudes Football. We are on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and Twitter. But let's get into some fantasy news. Starting off with the biggest storyline of the week: Jalen Hurts moving to quarterback. The Carson Wentz era is over, probably. Interesting one here. Kieran says no. I think it's over in Philly, but I mean,
For this year.
for this year for sure. But one of the more interesting QB
Ooh.
storylines we've had in the past decade. Before we move into fantasy implications, Kieran, why the long face here with my statement?
I just don't think there's any way they can financially move on from Carson Wentz. They're gonna stick with him. It's just one of those things where it doesn't make sense for them to do it. They have him paid over $30 million for the next 2 or 3 years, and the dead cap hits are just insane. No one's gonna trade for him. It's one of those. The weapons haven't been there. The offensive line's been really shaky. Jalen Hurts is gonna get eaten alive against the Saints. It's just like I don't think it's a permanent move. If it is, then he's shown something, but I don't know. But we'll see. I just don't believe it's the end.
What
for him
is
there.
with this? Let's throw in this rookie quarterback against the toughest matchup of the year culture we have going.
Makes
We
no
have
sense.
Tua go out there against Aaron Donald in your first matchup of your life, and then now Jalen against the Saints, who have just been crushing. I mean, if Hinton couldn't do it, I don't know how Hurts
Is it
going
do you think it's like a coach trying to prove his coaching ability type of thing? They throw
That's
him
what I was
out, he gets
thinking.
eaten alive, and then he's like,
Probably.
"Well, it's my first week of practice with the kid," and then
Yeah.
comes out against the Jets
That's
next week and
interesting.
tears it up. Looks like an absolute QB developer.
It's a nice little confidence boost to Carson Wentz, and
Yeah.
they're throwing Jalen out there just to show that it's not the coaching and it's the rest of the team.
it could
is just
be.
not very good. I don't know. I feel like they're just doing it to see what they have for the rest of the year before so they full decision for next year. But I do think going into next year, Wentz will be the
But
starter.
I know it's crazy,
way.
but they still have to be consider themselves in the playoff hunt. Like that
Yeah.
this season is far from over for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
how they operate as an NFL franchise.
I think it's
But-
just one of those things where they think it's the best chance to win. You know,
Yeah,
at
let's
this
get
point
into
this
the
week.
fantasy implications, though. I mean, against the Saints, you're not starting anyone. The only guys you're considering are Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert. But honestly, like I've seen some crazy pivots on Miles Sanders. That's kind of a fun fantasy Twitter trend this week. Is who I mean, top ones for me have been Tim Patrick, Alan Lazard was one fun one. I mean, but can you blame him? I mean, what?
No.
When you ask the question, like, what is this team going to do against this other team? I mean, we kind of saw what happens to the Broncos. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but like, hopefully we see flashes from Jalen, but Goddard maybe. Obviously, with the tight end landscape, that might be an outlet. We know young QBs love the tight end, so that's really the only guy I'm like, yeah. Miles Sanders is more of a right?
If you have to.
We'll see how this week looks, but. I mean, it's still Jalen Reagor. I mean, Travis Fulgham. They could make a return for the fantasy playoffs. Keep an eye on that. You're not doing anything until we see what happens this week. But if Jalen Hurts honestly doesn't look terrible, I mean, he could get 60 yards to one of these guys, 70 yards, and then that's a great streaming option.
Yeah, I think just quickly, like it's one of those playoff things where, you know, you have to really read your matchup with these sorts of things. Like I'm in a league against Noah where I've been playing Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert, you know, weekly, you know, and they've been producing for me. But it's one of those things where he played Rams D. They got 20 points for him. It's a league where bonus driven. You know, I got to shoot for ceiling. I analyzed my matchup. I understood what I need. And those guys aren't necessarily guys where I'm like, oh, Dallas Goedert's going to get me 120 yards and a touchdown. You know, I'm going to pivot because I know what I need in this specific matchup. And that's something you have to consider when you're in the fantasy playoffs, because it's one game and go home. You don't play the guy you think you should play. You play to win your matchup. Week.
We went over this last week. You're really no longer looking at a player. You're looking at the value they're going to produce in these finite sequences. So that's a great point, Kieran. But I think that's kind of the way they cover the Eagles. They do have a decent schedule. It's not after the Saints it gets easier, but I mean anyone you play is easier than the Saints. So keep an eye on that. DJ Moore taking a little scamper over from having an injury and being out. He's like, you know what? I think my next game it's going to be COVID. Let's hop over to the COVID list. Why not? So he'll be out. Panthers playing the Broncos this week. That's a nice matchup. We also have Christian McCaffrey, who was thought to be coming back this week, also out. So this is a big step up for these guys. Most of them are going to be rostered: Curtis Stanley, Robbie Anderson, Mike Davis. But all three of those, I mean, are pretty much plays for me. Are you? If you had to fade a receiver there, I mean, who are you going with?
Oh, if you're favoring one, you definitely got to go Robbie Anderson. He's the clear-cut number one there now. I mean, Curtis Samuel obviously has his spurts, tends to go in the backfield, come out of the backfield, line up all over the
classic
place.
Samuel spurt, yeah.
Exactly. But, Robbie Anderson has that floor that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And AJ Boye just got suspended too. I think both of those receivers are plays.
Did you see that report? It was like multiple NFL players have been deceived by this one. There will be legal charges involved with AJ Boye. I mean,
dude, what are these guys going and seeing and like putting in their bodies? Like they're getting like these like specific protein blends or something.
I mean, I get it. When your body is your entire livelihood and career. I mean, you hear about LeBron and Brady spending $1 million plus per year on their body. I mean, I know Brady has full-time staff for his body. I mean, what's the Cardi B song, Body? I mean, body, yaddy, 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 right? So, I mean, that's kind of how Tom Brady lives his life. And I don't really know where I'm going with that one. Anyways, Panthers good starts this week. Antonio Gibson, right after his breakout Thanksgiving Day performance. Brutal toe injury, turf toe. We've had an interesting amount of conflict and reports about this one. Right off the bat, it seemed a lot, pretty bad. And there was rumors that he might even play this week. I mean, he's not gonna. I mean, he shouldn't play this week. I don't even know if they do, put him out there. You're definitely not playing him if you have a choice. But McKissick should be great. I mean, they're playing the Niners. That's a tougher defense. But one defense I actually really like
last week though.
I really like that Niners D as a play because of this. I think that it really limits the options for the offense, and they're kind of going to be one more one-dimensional than they usually can be, and I think that should be an easy kind of game for the Niners to kind of just hold them and get ahead. But McKissick, obviously, great play.
Mm-hmm.
Not much more
Especially in
analysis for that
PPR
one.
leagues.
Yeah. What about any of these non-Terry McLaurin pass catchers? I mean, Logan Thomas had a breakout week.
Yeah.
Cam Sims had a breakout week. And against the Richard Sherman Niners D, we saw McLaurin against the Steelers last week just get shut down. And it could be a similar situation. So, I mean, like we keep saying, this is now or never. You might need to pivot to one of these guys. Definitely. Logan Thomas, Cam Sims, I mean, obviously the tight end landscape, Logan Thomas should be in the conversation.
I'm in on Logan Thomas. I picked him up in a couple leagues. I'm playing him in both.
What about Sims? They should be behind all game. They're going to be passing the ball.
He won that game ball last week.
It's not enough to risk my playoff on. Not enough to risk my playoff on.
There's plenty of wide receiver help in the NFL.
Yeah, and if you look at his game log, if you look at his game log, he had a big game I think 3 weeks ago, and then he had no catches the next week. So it's just one of those. He's one of those guys, big
DFS
guy
streamer.
Yeah, it's not. It's just you're not going to bank your playoff hopes on it.
Yeah, well, I might be banking my DFS hopes on it. We'll see.
We got Zeke with a little bit of a calf injury. Honestly, not too worried about it because you obviously got to be more worried about him just being bad. Hopefully, they're playing the Bengals. Maybe they can get his.
This should be a week where he can score, but it's pathetic. If you watch that game, they get down to the 1 yard line. They give him the ball 4 times, and the O-line whiffs. Like Zeke is not his self, but the O-line is also horrible.
He stopped caring a little bit.
Yeah, I remember watching that
flashes,
sequence and thinking, this is what a million times before as a Zeke owner I wish had happened when there was a decent team there, and now they're like finally figuring it out. We should run our guy, every time on the goal line before they're like trying to get Dak to do, overthink stuff. And then obviously now they're like, whatever. I mean, throw it up to I want to see another one of those CeeDee Lamb body reposition touchdowns that we saw against the Vikings. That was the most beautiful. Talk about body, Adi. I mean, that guy can move his body. And that's probably not the last you'll hear of that terrible joke. James Conner plans to come back from his 2-week absence versus Buffalo. Interesting one here. This is my game of the week, and I don't think that's that original of a thought. But Buffalo versus Pittsburgh, we can get into that matchup later. But James Conner specifically coming back, he's had these he's getting the volume, which obviously is volume is king. But coming back off the injury against a team they're probably going to be battling with. What do you guys think here?
I think just watching Pittsburgh play recently, this year you've looked at James Conner, you've been like, he's not been that good or that efficient. But then as you watch the people they've been throwing out there the last couple of weeks, you're like, man, how much do you think Tomlin would pay to just have James Conner back out there? You know what I mean? It's like they look so bad. There's no way that they're not going to be like, okay, we got our guys back. Our horses are back. We lost to the football team. We're going to come out firing. I think he's a good play this week.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we keep hearing about how many drops the Steelers are having, and they got to slow things down because, this headed passing game is just not working anymore. It was so intimidating at one point, and now it's just like none of these guys can catch. So I think they're going to want to slow it down against Buffalo and keep Josh Allen reserved.
I disagree.
Yeah.
That's the best players on their team. They're throwing to Claypool, Juju, and Deontay. Yeah, Deontay had a few drops.
Yeah, I mean –
he also had 8 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. James Washington rips off a long one. I think their path to success in a tough game is throwing the ball, not running the ball.
I think a big part of it also is the weather is very cold there. Hasn't been the best conditions. Obviously this game is still outdoors. It's probably going to be cold. Who knows? Just something to keep an eye on. I mean, Deontay Johnson, before this past 2 weeks, he had like 1 drop all year, and now he has like 6 or 7. And he's dropped like 6 balls the past 2 weeks.
What about Josh Allen in this game? I mean, he's been fantastic. Played a decent defense, last week. I mean, against Pittsburgh, though. I mean, you got to do a comparison. So would you rather have, let's say, him against Pittsburgh or Brady versus Minnesota?
I think that was connections going out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, is
Yeah,
anyone
he froze.
picking that up
Oh,
too?
I'm sorry. Okay, let me try that again. Brady
I thought it was just
versus
me.
Minnesota. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Brady versus Minnesota or Josh Allen versus Pittsburgh?
Josh Allen, definitely.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen has that
Yeah.
floor.
Studs.
That offense is too good to not get near the goal line at least a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I know the
Mhm.
Steelers have a great defense, but Josh Allen is really.
I mean, we
really
saw last week. It's possible to throw on them. So
right.
Yeah, the Steelers secondary did struggle a little bit last week, so you'd hesitate, but there's not very many options on the wire that
yeah, you probably don't have.
But even
All right.
when you watched last week, it was like defense was dominating most of the game. It was just that second
Mhm.
half was leak outs, just 10-yard leak outs every single time. It wasn't like they were having huge breakdowns other than a couple plays.
And to be
Still
fair, the Steelers' defense has not played any good throwing quarterbacks really this year, except for Deshaun Watson. He put up 3 touchdowns. Ryan Tannehill put up 24 points. Every other QB they faced this year is not a good thrower. So
And they're
that's
also
just something to keep
decimated
in
with
mind.
injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good points. Moving on. Denzel Mims going to be out this week against the Seahawks. Some family issues. So Jamison Crowder, Rashad Perriman. Rashad Perriman is kind of, I think, that upside stream of the week that you could actually pull off of waivers and throw in and get 20, potentially 20 from. That I mean, he's a DFS smash for me. He is questionable, so keep an eye on that. But we saw Jamison Crowder with 2 touchdowns last week. He's going to be owned. He's going to be more expensive in DFS. Rashad Perriman, I mean, he was the league winner last year when he was on the Bucs in the playoffs. Won me some money. Why not again, right? And so, I mean, that's an easy one for me. But moving on, Joe Mixon, apparently. Eligible to come back week 15. Why do they do this?
They're not doing anything.
I don't know if they're going
They're not doing anything. He's not playing.
You're not starting.
This is the AJ Green. It's like AJ Green from last year.
It is the classic.
Unfortunately.
It's the classic AJ Green tease. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, interesting, but try to avoid the situation.
Exactly.
Don't get your hopes up. And then Kenny Golladay, another baffling injury situation. Have no idea how he wasn't on IR.
He's not playing this year.
He's not playing it. He's probably not playing this year either. Okay. That's through our fantasy news. Let's get a quick Thursday night football review in. Cam Akers. It looks like we know the Rams offense is going to run through.
Finally.
Even up by a lot of points. I mean, it was like 3 touches to the rest of the backfield. And, I mean, Akers season, baby. 21 or 23 for like 107. 29 for 171. 29 carries. I mean, it was definitely the script.
About damn time. But
here's why it's even more refreshing. They have Cam Akers is their guy, but they have no reason not to throw Brown and Henderson in there just to, even out the carries, get everyone equal work. We don't need to waste our guys. They want to get Cam Akers out there, go, and they want to see what he can do. I mean, they just let him light it up. I think this is kind of like, sorry, Cam, that we haven't been using you more all year. Here's the entire game. He was 2 receptions in the passing game. There wasn't a lot of passes in general, but I mean, smash play for the rest of the playoffs. They have an excellent schedule as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they love to run the ball. Don't get it twisted. They're a team that when they go up, they don't like passing all that much. They're going to be running the ball. They want to get him ready, get him amped up for playoff time. So, as you're saying, great play.
He's not on waivers anymore, probably, but
I think you're right that he is a smash play, fantasy playoff gem that you find, at the end of these years who rises up the draft boards for next year. But I think something to keep in mind is just like we've played this Sean McVay game like so many times. It's keep your expectations at a reasonable level. If you have someone really good and he's been on your bench, don't automatically vault him into your lineup. We've seen this before with Darrell Henderson earlier in the year, and then randomly it's a Malcolm Brown game. It's just they ride the hot hand, and he is the hot hand, so you can play him. But keep your expectations in order. Yeah,
I mean they play the Jets next week, and
they're gonna run the ball like 75% of the time.
Yeah, that's gonna be an ugly game. But that's another one. If you're struggling at running back, Henderson and Brown are both should be fine place next week. So, I mean, very niche advice here, but maybe go pick one of them up. Oh, I guess you can't anymore. Next week, go pick one of them up, and I mean versus the Jets, like Mike said.
Yeah, Henderson and Brown could be dropped.
40 carry. Yeah, they'll probably be dropped this week. But yeah, I mean, Rams D was a really one-sided narrative game. Not a huge amount to take of it besides Cam. Now let's get into a few interesting players this week. We usually discuss matchups and kind of go through everything, but most of your lineups are pretty decided, and it's down to that flex spot, maybe that wide receiver 2-3 spot you're trying to figure out. So
yeah, let's talk about this first one. Let's go back to last week. Wish we could roll the clip. We are picking. Who do you pick?
Me and Michael can just reenact it.
Latavius Murray.
We're gonna just play Latavius Murray over Alvin.
Yeah,
Kamara.
I'll take Latavius over Kamara.
And me and
exactly
Kieran are
like,
why would you ever do that? And the expected happens. Latavius Murray puts up,
in our defense, it was really a fucking stupid thing to say.
All I gotta say though,
I like how
is that 2 weeks ago, Latavius outscored Kamara by more than Kamara outscored Latavius last week. So I'm not
this week, who are you picking?
Wow.
I'll take Alvin.
And Latavius is questionable, so probably Alvin. And I did not end up going with Latavius, and I went with Kamara instead, and it paid off. And because sometimes you have crazy ideas, and you got to just take a breath and just draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire because everyone told you to, which was obviously not the call.
But real quick, Drew Brees probably going to come back next week. Hopefully, if you're a Kamara owner, that's a major boost to Kamara. It looks like he's not going to be playing this week. So you can still check out Taysom, but Kamara, he doesn't have that ceiling still when Taysom's playing.
I don't know why they would bring back Breeze early. I mean, maybe the situation is really
for the playoffs. Got to get him ready for playoffs.
Yeah, but it is Drew Brees. I mean, and they're playing. I mean, they're playing the Chiefs. Excuse me, everybody. Yeah, there's a high possibility he comes back next week. Yeah, scratch everything I said. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Really weird game last week. He was questionable. Ended up not getting a snap, and this is a tough one because Clyde's that guy that could, You guys can hear me, yeah? Hello?
The connection's a little bit spotty. Yeah, that Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he had some sort of sickness. He was kind of ill one of the previous weeks. Didn't play this past week. If he's practicing up until game day, you got to be safe starting him. Obviously he doesn't have that major ceiling still, but he's still in a great situation.
I'm really worried about Clyde. They don't have a good playoff schedule, and they don't need him. They don't lean on the run when they're winning, and I'm getting and I think my connection is bad. Why don't you guys go ahead?
Yeah, I think a fine play this week, honestly. Like, I understand he doesn't have the ceiling anymore, but in a PPR league, he's RB13 on the year with a game with 0. So, he's been steady. Running back's kind of shitty. So, I mean, I don't know what else you can play. I think he's actually a pretty solid play this week against the Dolphins because, the Dolphins have a good pass defense, and I could see them limiting Mahomes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can definitely play him. I mean, I just feel horrible for anybody who, saw the active on game day and didn't make the playoffs because of that performance. I mean, he was sitting on the sideline with his hands in the hand warmers, just breaking your heart. But I mean, it's all about your options and all about the landscape. And I think he's got as good of a chance as any to score a touchdown this week. And I think, you're going to play him in the playoffs if he was your first round pick, most likely, unless you got lucky and picked up, James Robinson and McKissick or something. But in most cases, he's going to be playing, and I think he'll be solid.
Yeah. He should be played this week. I mean, next week against the Saints, I would consider fading him. Mm-hmm. Moving on, Cole Beasley, just doing really good at football. I mean, you think he's one of those guys. You think he's just kind of a side piece. He's just kind of a slot guy, but putting up wide receiver 1 numbers week after week, and then you got Pittsburgh this week, who shut down the wide receiver 1, McLaurin, last week, and they got a big Diggs problem, and he could have a huge week this week. I mean, I am considering Cole up there against wide receiver 1s. who do you want? Cole Beasley against Pittsburgh or McLaurin against San Francisco? In
McLaurin.
PPR.
I'd take McLaurin.
I think you're going
A little
McLaurin.
bit safer.
But Kieran talked about situational, plays before. If you just need a floor and you're projected to win by 15, 20, I might throw Cole in instead. Because you saw the lower end of McLaurin possibility, but I think the floor for Cole Beasley is 10 PPR points. That's worst case. I predicted more for 15.
I can see that, but it's hard to say that before. I don't believe they're a Monday Night Football or a Sunday night game, so it's gonna be hard to really see your matchup at that point in order to make that type of drastic call. I don't see a world where I'm benching McLaurin in that setting, but I mean, one thing to note is, have you seen Cole Beasley's hair recently? I mean, how can you? He's shaved the full sides and has a full-on long hair ponytail tied up. I mean, if there's anything that's going to be I don't know what it is, but it's great. And if there's anything that's going to be a deciding factor, if you're really on the edge, ride the hair.
I remember when he signed with the Bills and Cowboys fans were throwing so much shade to him, saying, "You're going to this terrible team." And now look what's happened. He's
good for him.
He's lining himself up.
That's why everyone hates Cowboys fans.
That's true.
Stuff like that. Awesome. Let's get into America's favorite segment, Dude and Dud of the Week.
Ooh.
Last week for Dude, I had Raheem Mostert, bad. Michael had David Montgomery. Might as well have had Alvin Kamara. Great pick there, Michael. Jared had Alan Lazard, 6.5. That's we won't give you it. We'll give you a pass there.
Bad.
And then Kieran, Kirk Cousins with another smash week, another guy I think we should definitely talk about today. And then Dud, you love to see me putting out Kamara, wrong. Nuke, love to see it, wrong. Debo, 10.6, let's just say wrong. And then Kieran, Taysom Hill, wrong as well. So that's just not a great Dude Dud week for us.
Hey, I picked Debo and he had 0 at halftime, and I was feeling good about it.
Oh,
it was all garbage time for Debo. All garbage time.
I was so disappointed. He just
my first half only league.
So
yeah, he really.
My first half only league. Yeah,
I play in a few of those, so
hey,
start him in those.
I guess it's without no garbage time.
Hey, the only time that matters is the present, and that's for our fans in the playoffs right now.
Hey, then then I never would have played Joe Flacco a few weeks ago if there was no second half. Okay, that was my genius pick of the year. So don't put shit on that. But let's get our Dude of this week. I'm gonna start it off with a homer, and I got a secret dude in my back pocket as well. But I'm gonna go Matthew Stafford. And people always say, Noah, how is it possible you go all the way different across the country and you just bring the show with you? You're able to operate anywhere. It's because of this major production budget. We just bring the set everywhere we go. I mean, this is millions of dollars goes into this production budget, and
Beautiful.
I mean, right there. So with that wine sock, I'm going to go Matthew Stafford. Okay, hear me out, boys. What's the narrative of fired coaches this year? Everyone is happier and everyone plays better. Stafford last week, divisional matchup against a great passing defense, 470 yards. That's pretty good for fantasy. And I don't know if it's going to be that high this week against the Packers, but it's a 55-point over/under. I think it's a divisional matchup. He doesn't have his best weapons at his disposal with Golladay out, but Stafford knows this defense, and I think he's going to put up a great week. And I think he's someone you should really consider streaming if you're having trouble there.
All right, I'll go next. Tagging off that QB, I also have a QB. It's Ryan Tannehill against Jacksonville. I feel like the Titans are going to put up a lot of points. And whether that's Derrick Henry, I hope you have him in your DFS, or Tannehill running it in, I feel like they're going to put up at least 30 points. And that's why you got to have that QB.
Yeah, I think that game is one to watch because the Tennessee defense has been really bad recently. And I think Jacksonville is one of those teams that's, not great. But the key, to high
not good either.
Not good either. I mean,
pretty bad.
Not even average either.
No.
The key to high over-under in big fantasy games is the other side keeping up. And I think that Jacksonville's one of the teams with Glennon. You're looking at them being like, can they score? I mean, against this defense, the odds that they keep up is what's going to propel these Tennessee players into real fantasy glory. And I think that that's really going to be an important thing to keep in mind with Tannehill and Henry. Having potential for.
Are you leaning into Mike's Dude of the Week right now?
Oh, I haven't even seen it, but no, yeah, let's go for it.
So I'm going to do a homer pick as well, and it's Colin M.F. Johnson. Since Mike Longneck Glennon has taken over as quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wait. Can we get some long necks for Mike Glennon, please? Thank you. All right, back to our scheduled programming.
14 targets, 8 catches. He got over 150 yards in those 2 games and a touchdown.
Ooh.
I could see him eating up a few targets, be some kind of, 4 for 60 in a PPR league could be a good play. Maybe get a touchdown as well. Going to have to keep up. He's going to run the ball down our throats. Going to have to throw the ball. Titan secondary is garbage. So I could see us staying in this game. Colin Johnson, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of those dudes of the week where, you're not saying it's going to be 102. It's, it's a value dude. So keep that in mind when we're grading that next week, Noah. My dude of the week,
dude.
we've touched on it a little bit, but I think dude. I think
only
that
took us 4 years to come up with that.
I think that Robbie Anderson's got a really good chance of having a great game this week.
Yeah.
No DJ Moore on the COVID list, no CMC. Curtis Samuel's still questionable. I mean, there's a chance that he's the only show in town, and him and Mike Davis, will take – this offense is always kind of just churning along, getting it done, never, blowing anything up, but also just like a solid team. So I think Robbie Anderson, he's one of like only 12 receivers to be over 900 or 1,000 yards already. So, I mean, he's getting it done. It's just he hasn't found the end zone. And if he's the only option down there and they get down into the red zone with Mike Davis and Robbie Anderson and a bunch of nobodies, I mean, there's a good chance that he has a really big blow-up week.
Yeah. Awesome. And, moving into duds, who you guys got?
All right, I'll start off. This guy, 44%. That is his snap share from last week in a game they were down and lost. Chase Claypool. He played under 50% of the snaps, and I feel like that's directly related to Big Ben saying they need to get James Washington on the field more and get him the ball more. Chase Claypool didn't have that good of a week last week. I'm feeling another dud week, even in a high-scoring fair against the Bills.
Those are the best type of duds where you got the insider information on exactly what Big Ben's thinking.
Yeah.
So,
I gave him shot him a quick fax. He got back to me since he's not practicing.
That's the difference between this show and other shows. We
Right.
talk to the players, and Big Ben told us exactly what he's thinking. So my dud of the week, Raheem Mostert. I think he's been an electric talent all year, dealt with injuries. He's coming back. He played, led the team in snaps last week, but I don't see him having a huge week this week, and I think he's going to be played in a lot of leagues. So that's my dud.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. This is a guy that I've been pretty disappointed with. I thought he would be remaining in that RB1 conversation with Chubb coming back, but hasn't got it done recently. He's still been getting volume. He just hasn't been getting it done, which is what you need to do. So I'm worried about him going forward. Chubb's obviously the guy there, and I especially against the Ravens with an excellent run defense, I think that they're going to be catching up, or in that game, most of the game at least. So yeah. Hunt. Let's get into our DFS. It is getting tight in these standings.
I need to know Mike's dud of the week first.
Oh, that is.
I mean, that was a terrific lead-in. I'm the half PPR wide receiver 37 a week ago, and you might ask, how the fuck is he a dud? And that's because he's the number 1 receiver on the year. I picked him as a dud earlier this year, and he burned me. It's Tyreek Hill. And this is why we love the playoffs, because last week Tyreek Hill had 11.8 points. Practice squad Chad Hansen of the Houston Texans outscored him. So if you played him over Tyreek Hill, you could have won your matchup. That's the playoffs. Tyreek Hill is not a top 20 wide receiver this week.
Oh.
Go Fish. Dolphins are going to shut him down.
Go Fish.
Go Fish. I mean, Michael, with chops like that, why don't you just take it away and lead us
You're
forward?
telling Tyreek to go Fish.
But anyways, let's get to our DFS. We are having my monitors obviously crazy.
You having a little disco?
For the podcast audience, my monitor just started doing a bunch of different colors. Why don't you guys read us your DFS lineups and give us a recap on the standings? I'll try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, let's get a quick recap. Let's get a quick recap into the standings here. So we got me leading the way at 20-16, Michael 1 game behind, and then Noah and Jared closing in on the lead here. Quick little story into last week's DFS plays. So me and Michael tied at the top of the standings last week. Noah and Jared down at the bottom, tied at the bottom of the standings. And we had just an absolutely electric week of DFS. I mean, Noah put together a team for the ages, winning him some like $20 and something. I don't know. But he did really well. And then it came down to me and Mike. We were squaring away for the lead. It was really the only competition I was thinking of. And it comes down to the last game of the afternoon slate. He's up 30-ish points, I think 31 points. And he's messaging me in our little chat channel, talking trash, slanging them words around. Like he's thinking he has it made. All I have left is Patriots defense down 31 points. And, don't say anything too soon. Patriots come out with 31.6 fantasy points.
Just like you called it,
Kieran. Just like that's exactly how I set it up. So I took the lead and I'm ecstatic this week to try and defend it. So I'll give my team first. At quarterback, I'm going Justin Herbert against the Falcons. I think that's a smash play. Jonathan Taylor running up against the Raiders defense. That's also a smash play in my opinion. McKissick, we've talked about him enough. And then at the wide receivers, I got Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk. At tight end, Logan Thomas. We talked about him on the show as well. I'm really high on Logan Thomas this week. And then in the flex, I got Nelson Aguilar. Darren Waller had the huge week last week, but Nelson Aguilar had 11 targets. So he was not, forgotten. He had a bunch of targets. He's Derek Carr's arguably favorite target, as at the wide receiver position. Just missed on that huge touchdown right before Ruggs got it. So I think he's got a good chance to blow up. And then the Eagles have a really solid D. And I'm hoping that just Taysom Hill and Jalen Hurts, both running quarterbacks, the clock will be thin. Short game, hoping for some, turnover or two and just limit the downside there.
Interesting pick with the Eagles.
I like that. I feel like this week there are some kind of sure things. There's a lot more players that.
Yeah, but you think that every week, and it's never.
There's a lot of games.
A lot of weeks I'm like scrambling to fill out my lineup. Whereas
Last week I was scrambling.
This one I feel so sure about a few running backs and but the problem is they're top end, so you can't put them all together.
Yeah.
Me, I got Herbert at quarterback, Derrick Henry, and J.D. McKissick as my running backs. Devontae Adams. I doubled the Bengals wide receivers. Probably not going to do that at the end of the day. But Tyler Boyd, Dalton Schultz at tight end, Colin Johnson in the flex, and the Seahawks defense against the Jets.
I'm begging you to keep those Bengals in there. Please. Just keep them in there.
What is that play?
All right,
That's how much disrespect I have for the Cowboys. They suck.
I don't know about that. I got Matt Ryan at quarterback, very cheap. Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Gallup, Logan Thomas, Amari Cooper, and the Panthers. I got.
Wow, you're doubling up on the Cowboys.
Doubling up on the Cowboys receiver.
You guys did the double up.
All right, you guys. All right, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do edits this week. We gotta see what happens with the double up for two of the most heavy firepower explosive offense in the league. Interesting plays there. Michael, after giving you shit for that surefire running back, here's my lineup. We got Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, J.D. McKissick, just like my boy. Oh no. Okay, I think I cut out for a sec.
You got
Chris Godwin, Justin Jefferson.
Froze the worst population.
It's a tough one this week.
You're good now.
All right,
You're good.
I'm good. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna go edit out all these. It's too much work. Kirk Cousins, Derrick Henry, J.D. McKissick, Chris Godwin, Justin Jefferson, Rashad Perryman, who is my smash play of the week, and you'll see he's going to be in the other lineups as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feel free, guys. I know you guys always steal somebody from me. And then sleeper tight end of the week, Jordan Akins. Chicago ranked 30th against the tight end and second against the receiver. Jordan Akins, sleeper, $2,900. And then, of course, I was able to squeeze in Austin Eckler there for the flex. And then the 49ers defense against the Gibson-less team.
Rowdy, you made it out without a freeze.
Yay! That's so great to hear. Okay.
Yeah. Let's only got a couple weeks left on that, so we are coming down to the wire.
We'll see. I mean, okay, again, just wins here. Kieran 20, Michael 19, Noah 17, Jared 16. It's anyone's game. I mean, it's anyone's game. It keeps seeming like, oh, we got all right. These guys are up top. These guys are below. And then every week there's a little comeback push, and it's back into the drama that we love to see. Let's go into America's favorite segment that you guys know and love. It's you could go with this or you could go with that. And as we get into the playoffs, you could go, yeah, you know the song. We get into the playoffs, we get to these points where we need to stop making long-term predictions and say, hey, you could go with this or you could go with that. Let's do that right now. Jonathan Taylor versus Myles Gaskin. All this is going to be half PPR. I want you to tell me who you're going to pick and why.
Okay. Well, let's go with this. Raise your hand if you're going Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
Oh, he's in my DFS. He's playing the Raiders. They're hemorrhaging points to the running back position.
Jared,
raise your hand if you go with Myles Gaskin.
I think Myles Gaskin's a great play. I think they're both really good plays this week.
And I also think we're a podcast, so we probably shouldn't do raising of hands. It just eliminates half the audience.
That is a great point. You are smart. But me and Jared went with Gaskin, Kieran and Mike with JT. Yeah. Here's my take on this and why I'm going with Gaskin. I think that Jonathan Taylor is the narrative makes more sense. Power running back against a bad running defense. But I think they're going to be up big in this game. They're going to be splitting the carries. You don't have that 20 carry floor guarantee that you want to see from a guy like Jonathan Taylor. You still with me, guys? I don't know. Okay, I'll keep going. But Myles Gaskin, I mean, another came back first week out, 21 carries. I mean, he's the bell cow there. He's their guy. Their offense, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one to see what happens with this game because obviously the Dolphins should be behind most of the game, but they keep Myles so involved. I'm asking for personal reasons on this one. I am favored by I think 10. So for this one, I'm going with the floor play. I do think Jonathan Taylor is the ceiling play. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Gaskin, I feel like he's guaranteed at least 15.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. There is no way Jonathan Taylor busts this week. There is absolutely no way.
Right, so
the Raiders are that bad that if he gets just 10 touches, he probably turns that into at least 12 fantasy points.
All right,
so let's do this. Let's do 12 PPR points. If it doesn't reach that mark, you'll do the dreaded habanero challenge.
I don't know about all that. I don't know.
12 PPR? That's nothing.
12? Come on.
I'll have to look into it more.
All right. Well, that's so interesting. After, Michael loves to speak, to just come out.
He just said, I'm going out on a limb, and his face got redder than it would with the peppers involved. This guy can't take the heat. Baby.
All for 12 PPR points, too.
I'll take 12. I'll take 12.
So you're locking it in.
And when you lose this week, I'll have to do mine because I totally blanked on it. I haven't done it.
I had text Kieran in my reminders for the pepper, and I was just like, what? But hey,
I totally forgot. But this week we'll do it via Zoom. We'll live stream to everybody when you lose. And
we're
there we go.
2 on surefire ESPN prediction over. So
is
Jared hopping on one this week as well?
Well, I have to have something that I feel very confident
about. Yeah, I mean, to be
Taylor.
fair, Michael, me and Kieran's predictions were based on beating the ESPN prediction.
Yeah, let's check that.
You gave me 12. Why would I take something high?
Well, because
I know it's just you didn't take that 12.
We'll give you 12. We'll give you 12. Let's just go see.
I appreciate that.
The ESPN projection is 13.5
for half PPR.
Full PPR.
Oh, what about half? That's the key.
He said full PPR.
For full PPR.
Oh, full?
So, Mike, you can have your choice. 13.5 full PPR or 12 half.
All right, we'll give you time. About that one.
Which one are you taking on the air?
Wait, actually, the prediction for half is 12.3, so just bumping that line up a little.
So, do you think he's going to get one catch?
I'll take full PPR.
Okay.
All right, 13. Lock it in.
Perfect. All right, so we got that one out of the way. Here's another one for that I'm gonna need some help with. Chris
Well, I like this
Godwin
one.
versus Terry McLaurin. We got Chris, and I
Easy.
think Minnesota, Tampa Bay is going to be a tighter game than people think. I mean, Kirk has been hot fire recently, and we seen the Buccaneers running defense is great, but the passing defense is totally beatable. They were so good at the beginning of the year, haven't been able to get it together. I think this is a close one. I think that could be the highest scoring game of the week. On this one, I'm going Chris Godwin just because I think that PPR floor is so high. But
I'm going Godwin as well.
Godwin.
He practiced in full today. He'll be ready to go.
Wow.
There was he had some screws taken out of a finger. So
all right, this one's very interesting. We got Corey Davis against Jacksonville and T.Y. Hilton against Las Vegas. Both coming off great weeks. I think one has a little bit nicer of a floor, and that guy is Corey Davis. Corey Davis, beyond 1 week, has been that 1 week where he scored 0, has been really, really consistent. He showed up last week. Ryan Tannehill is my dude of the week. He's got to throw it to somebody. A.J. Brown, still a little banged up. So I'm going Corey Davis on this one. What about you guys?
Me too.
Yeah, that one's not that close
Davis,
for me.
Scrappy show.
You've got to be kidding me. It just crashed. Can you hear me? Hello?
Dude, your connection is bad.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, so much for this being a nationwide, production.
Damn, I guess we need to
This
pump.
one might not get posted.
No, you might have to join on your phone.
Oh my
God. I guess you could join on.
Can you? Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and slot my name in here.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
No, just call in with your phone.
Oh my God. Okay, keep the show going. Go for it.
We're keeping it going. We're righting the ship. So another one we got going on here is we're not doing another T.Y. Hilton one, that's for sure. We're gonna go 2 out of 3. Pick your 2 out of 3. J.D. McKissick, David Johnson. McKissick against San Francisco, David Johnson against Chicago, and Zeke against Cincinnati.
Okay. This is pretty easy for me if I'm being honest.
PPR?
Same here. Half.
This is half PPR. I think the 2 you go here is McKissick and Zeke.
Those are the 2 I'm going with.
Hello.
Me too.
Any matchup you got with those characters?
I do, but I'm unfortunately playing against Cooper Kupp and Rams defense.
Cooper Kupp didn't do that good.
He had a touchdown. You're going to shit
like 12 points.
Yeah, that's what he's projected when you're the top.
That's not that
That's
good.
all you need. That's all you. The Rams defense got 23.
Yeah.
Well, he's not Cooper Kupp.
Oh, go cry me a fucking river, Mr. Number 1 seed. Yeah.
Hey, I shouldn't have to be playing anybody, but Noah voted to expand playoffs.
Dude, I was against that.
And he took away my bye this week.
Dude, you're probably gonna lose too.
It's me anyways.
I agree.
Well, Jared, that was you chose to give the league opportunity to vote on expansion.
Dude,
yeah, you
I
did.
didn't want to be a dictator over the league.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have.
I was trying to please everybody.
I'm a dictator, and it works out great, and everyone has a good time.
All you care about was pleasing.
Not a single person has a good time when Noah's the commissioner. Not a single person.
Hey, he even opened
so
up
offensive.
league expansion of the league where you're commissioner.
Yeah, Kieran has this narrative that I'm a terrible commissioner. He's never been in a league where I was the commissioner, so that's how bad I am at being a commissioner. He just smells it and throws up in his mouth.
Yeah, things come through the vine to me. This is what I hear.
Exactly.
This is what you hear. Okay, I wonder who you have connection to with someone in my league. I'll have to get to the bottom of that. Make a few cuts on people who are against the monarchy here. Interesting. I'll have my KGB getting on that. But anyways, last one here: Marvin Jones at Green Bay versus Deebo Samuel against Washington football team. I guess you got to go with my Matthew Stafford having a good game narrative. So it's gonna be Marvin Jones.
I'm going Deebo on this one.
I'm going Deebo too.
It's really tight for me. I think Marvin could get shadowed by Jair, but I don't want to go 3 versus 1. So I'm playing Marvin Jones in 2 leagues. Sign me up for Deebo.
Cut your losses.
Yeah.
All right. quick look into some Week 14 defenses. And again, on my Lions narrative, I think Green Bay, which is seemingly a great defensive play this week, is a trap game. Saw Stafford last week in a divisional matchup. Coach fired. He unleashed Stafford, let Stafford cook, however you want to say it. I am definitely fading Green Bay.
Stafford cook.
Love it.
Let Stafford cook. I mean, the let blank cook has been it's been taken from Russ, right? He doesn't. Yeah. It's on the market. I mean, anyway,
you can't lose to the Giants.
Yeah, you can't lose to the Giants and keep the cook. You know, you gotta.
Nope.
Not with McCoy.
No.
But
yeah,
I think I've touched on this earlier, but Seahawks I think are obviously a really good stream for most of the playoffs. Honestly, coming up, they got some great matchups. They're playing the Jets, but odds are they're taken. So another streamer is the Washington football team. I mean, their defensive line is elite. They have a really, really good defensive line. They're honestly a really good football team, and hence the name. And they're playing Nick Mullins.
Oh, that's
and the
why
49ers.
they call it that. Football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're a good football team. What should we call them? We'll call them the football team. And so I think they're a good play against Nick Mullins. He's prone to make a couple turnovers here and there, and I can see that being a hammer the under type of game.
Yeah,
both. So I'm definitely
that could be
that,
either defense works. I talked about San Francisco earlier. If you guys had to pick one there, who you taking?
I'll take Washington.
Let's add another one.
I'll take San Francisco.
I'm going San Fran.
Damn. All right. Bring it
I'm
on.
going.
I think it's close though.
Yeah. Chase Young, like 4 sacks.
I think there's a good amount of defense streamers. This shouldn't be too tough of a week to find someone.
Yeah, another quick couple. You could do the Panthers against the Donkeys or the Cowboys against the Bengals. You could even do the Bengals against the Cowboys if you're in that need of a defense.
Yeah, Texans get the Bears too. Bears may score points, but Mitch can throw a couple picks. Then there's your good day right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to play a quick little game before we close out the show. And we're going to call it over under. I'm going to give you a couple names. Yeah, it took me a while.
Where do we come up with these names for these segments?
I was at the whiteboard last night and I was thinking, and I wrote out about 50 choices.
Did
a couple focus groups, did some focus groups and really nailed down. This hits with the viewers.
We really appreciate using the consulting firm's resources for good.
Yeah, I leveraged focus groups to add value to my corporation. So
there you go.
Would you buy from this gas station? Also, which name do you guys like for myself? Go ahead.
Your titles on this deck are incredible, Kieran.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to give you 4 names. I want you to tell me over under. We're going to record this as well. We'll maybe post it on the Twitter. All the standings from. You can go with this. You can go with that, and over under. So
wait, real
starting
quick.
Off with.
Did you get these? Where'd you get these numbers? You come up with them, or are they actual over under spreads?
I came up with one, and the others are projections.
Cool.
Projections.
Okay.
So over under Michael Thomas against the Philadelphia Eagles against the Birds, 74 receiving yards.
That's an easy under for me.
Under.
That's an easy over for me.
Ooh.
He had a over last week.
I'll take the under.
Yeah, I think it's still. I mean, even though Metcalf torched Slay, it is still a good matchup with Slay, and they're just not going to need him. I mean,
all right, we got Mike on the under and on the over, and us 3 on the under.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next, Scary Terry over 81 receiving yards.
I'm going under.
Under.
I'm going over.
Ooh.
All right, next. Mike's due to the week last week. David Montgomery of the Chicago Bears against Houston, an absolutely horrible defense.
Yeah, we're going to set it up like that.
Over under 80 rush yards.
Over.
Under.
I'm going under. He didn't have over that last week. He just had
79 last week.
They also lost to the Packers, though.
Yeah, but they were winning the whole game, and they were playing the Lions. Next we got.
I clicked on the wrong matchup. They also lost.
Next we got Kyler Murray, averaging 25.6 fantasy points per game. He's struggled in the last 2. They got to right the ship. What are you guys thinking? Over under 20 fantasy points.
Over.
Under.
I'm
about that shoulder.
He was almost my dud of the week, actually. But
I'm taking over.
I took a last-minute pivot to Hunt. But love that segment, Kieran. And again, great name. Sorry we had to interrupt you 8 times to make jokes about it. Anyways, guys, thanks for bearing with us through this interesting internet connection episode. But hey, you roll with the punches. You bring the set wherever you go. It's part of being in the big production game. But thank you for tuning in to Guys Being Dudes Fantasy Football. You can follow us on Twitter @DudesFootball. We're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and like I said, Twitter. Hope you guys have a fantastic playoffs. And feel free to message us on any of these platforms with playoff questions. We'll be on the keys on Twitter all week, answering questions, helping out playoff teams win that championship. And good stuff.
And honestly, if you're following the Twitter and you've listened to this over-under segment, you've made it to here. If you guess all 4 over-unders correctly on our Twitter and mention us, we'll give you a shout out on the next show. So fire away on Twitter. Tell us what you think. If you get all 4
incredible
right,
marketing effort.
Hey, there's about 4 or 5 guys. I'm pretty sure we'll take part in that. So
one last plug. Go Jonathan Taylor.
You better hope so.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.